Welcome back to another video. Hi! I didn't mean to smile. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't label me as a terrorist. Now, why would I say something so ridiculous? Because, like, just a year ago, I was able to go about my life and just exist, and, nobody was really kind of saying this or that about us. But we're just gonna hop into a couple news stories, and yeah, we're gonna get into why I said that. We're going to start off with a little news story recently that this is a gentleman this is a Fox News story, and I say gentleman, but they're not at all. Honestly, I'm being polite, right? I'm trying my best to be polite. They kind of threatened to shoot up an LGBTQ bar, Cruisin' 7 in Arizona. The assassination of Kirk, along with school shootings, made them want to harm others. They said that they're a martyr for Charlie Kirk, and they're being held on a $250,000 bail bond right now. Now, this is an actual terroristic threat, and I just think it's weird and crazy that, like, the trans community continues to be, like, labeled all sorts of, like, horrible labels lately, right? So, like, just, like, take that mentality, right? Has anybody in our community done anything like this since the passing of Kirk? I don't believe so. And yeah, so, like, let's move on a little bit. Like, right here, no evidence found linking, like, this is news for some people, I guess. I mean, it's like duh, right, for like most people, but apparently it's news for people. Here it is. NBC, are they trusted still, or is somebody gonna sue them? I don't know. So basically, there you go. We have somebody that's making actual terroristic threats. This is the consequence of these terroristic threats, a $250,000 bail bond. I don't think most people can afford that. And we knew that a story like that was going to come out eventually. But I'm so thankful and happy that it wasn't anything that led in fatalities, right? It's horrible to have to live in this malaise of, like, what ifs and how people are kind of interacting with each other online and everything. It just seems scary whenever things weren't exactly like this before. There weren't so many people so gung-ho after us. There's only two genders, and if you're not a part of that, you're mentally ill because people can't be, different kind of thing anymore, except, like, variety is the spice of life, and it's sad that you guys are only eating garlic powder. Anyway, we're moving on. So yeah, like, you would think, like, after everything, and, like, after the Kirk assassination and everything, and it not being a trans person, and everyone preemptively blaming trans people, right? It was, oh, these Teslers and Tesla enthusiast was the assassin, and all this, and Joey Manarino, all these different comments from all these people calling us, like, creatures and whatnot. You'd think that we would get some sorries, right? 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 I just had a mini stroke. That's what they want. Yeah, this is fun. Nancy, what did I do to you? Everybody can read, right? I don't have to say it. Congress people call for institutionalization of trans people. What did I do, Nancy? Nancy, you want to come on my show? I have no views at all, but you're more than welcome to come and, like, tell me what I did wrong. What did I do to you, Nancy? What did I personally do to you to have to be reading these stories? Trans people can read, right? Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry for smiling again. I'm not a terrorist. Please. Why do I keep saying that? Well, we're going to move into the next thing. Boop. This is the really terrifying news. Basically, this whole thing just came out, freaking, like, the 19th, 18th, something like that. The Heritage Foundation, which nobody, likes to really take that serious, but also has some footing in our government currently, is trying to label transgender ideology as violent extremism. Now, I don't understand it completely, right? I don't understand the news of this completely, but I will say, what I do understand is absolutely terrifying. It's like trans ideology. It's not every trans person would be labeled a terrorist, but anybody, that identifies as trans is under this branch that, like, yeah, like, it's iffy, it's kind of wonky, it's like, our doctors need to go on trial, and, like, I don't know if it's like imprisonment or something, but, like, you have at it at reading this. Please look into other people talking about this, because this is a big scary for the trans community. People in my community are like, yeah, we need a passport now. We need our guns now, before we lose our rights, So this is, like, kind of what this is leading into. It's just a lot of fear. I asked ChatGPT kind of thing, like, what are the odds of this going through? And it's like, well, very low. It would take a conservative party that doesn't like, that's heavily against trans people to implement this. And it's like, well, this kind of sounds like the current. Anyway, here's page 2, by the way. We're just gonna talk about a couple of these because I can't even like get through it without my brain exploding. Again, my brain is scrambled mush. I'm taking 2025 on sober. It's hard. Um, and yeah, we're just going to talk about like these first 5 just because these are within 2025. Now, this is like half the list, right? And since the beginning of 2025, we've been labeled as like, not a real entity of people, like stripped positions in the military. We had a threat from the NRA saying we're not allowed to own firearms. Not from the NRA. We had a threat about losing our firearms, and the NRA came forward and said if all law-abiding citizens are allowed to have firearms still. But like at the same time, it's like, well, what defines a law-abiding citizen? Because that could always change. So yeah, like look at these kind of, April 2025. GOP firebomb by lipstick wearing suspect. Trans. ChatGPT said if they could compile a credible list and like prove that it was like a actual like terrorist organization, that they'd be able to like actually go through with this. But there's like not enough. There's way less evidence than they need to actually implement this, and like the freedom of speech and like judges coming in, and there's going to be potential lawsuits or whatever that like they've labeled Muslim people as not trans. They labeled Muslim people as terrorists in the past, kind of thing, and that led to like class action lawsuits. But at the same time, we're seeing that they don't care if like people sue. Like that's the whole thing. They're like, well, go ahead and sue. It doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. We have so much money. It doesn't matter. So it's a little scary. But yeah, like even September 10th, Tyler Robinson allegedly assassinated, citing ideological hatred. Right. What's the NBC article say? Nancy, please. Read it at your own time. I sent this here's page 3. I sent this to my physician. They're like, this looks like something from like The Onion or something. This looks like some sort of satire. And not to discredit the actual acts of violence that are depicted in this, right? Because that's unfortunate. But at the same time, like, these are like some very over-exaggerated situations. Blaming a detransitioner on this stuff and making it all the trans people's issues. Again, what are we doing? Nancy. Here's page 4. I don't really have much more to say about it. It's just kind of terrifying. And this is the world that we're living in right now. I could continue to ramble on about it all just like random different things that are going on. But I do want to leave with like people that are in the trans community that like, this anti-trans stuff is largely unpopular. There was a group, let me think. It was Protect Kids California, and it was an anti-trans ballot needing 520,000 signatures. I don't know the timeline on how long they had to get those signatures, kind of thing. But at the same time, they were unable to get the signatures that they needed. That fell short recently, kind of thing. And they ended up not getting the 520,000 signatures. It would have affected like gender. It would have affected gender affirming care in minors. It would have affected bathrooms in colleges, trans people using the restroom that correlates with the hormones that they're on, or and trans people in sports, etc. They fell short on the signatures. They didn't fall short by like a couple percent. They didn't fall short by 10%. They didn't fall short by like a fourth or a half. They did not get 1% of the signatures. And this is with people actively going into stadiums and trying to get people to sign this. This is largely an issue that people do not care about. The unfortunate thing with that is that we also don't have as many people caring and protecting of us in the sense of like being on board with like when these policies come out to speak and defend on our behalf, kind of thing. So the takeaway is like, we're the front line of hatred in America right now. And, you can come here, call me clown hands in the comments all you want. That's cool. I wish I was on puberty blockers beforehand. I didn't have to do any of these videos, and I wouldn't have to put up with you petty little people. But at the same time, I'd rather have you attacking me than, the rest of the people in my community. So, you know, yeah, I'm going to go over 10 minutes. Now I'm going to go over 10 minutes because it was 10 minutes and 3 seconds. I'm just going to I'm going to ramble for a second. Okay, I'm actually not going to ramble. Goodbye.